Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're going to talk about the recent elections in my state of Virginia. The elections didn't really make a lot of headway in the news because impeachment is all the rage. Impeachment is so hot right now. And it was just state and local things. There were no national elections, Senate, House, President, obviously. None of that was going on, so people didn't really care. But a major shift happened in my state. We went blue for the first time, I think since '94, I believe, was the last time Democrats controlled both the governor and both houses in the state Congress, which is amazing, which is totally amazing on many different levels. This state has already been going downhill for a long time. It was majorly hit by the recession in 2008 because of its proximity to D.C., since the government took such a hit during that time. We were adversely affected more to a degree than other parts of the country. Gotta stay on topic here. I need my notes. I need my script. We're talking about how the Democrats took control of this state for the first time in 20 plus years. Now, in Northern Virginia, where I live, Democrats have already had control of pretty much everything for quite a long time now, and they have been consistently ruining everything they can get their hands on. When it comes to roads or taxes or importing criminals or trying to take away your gun rights, whatever, every way they can possibly make your life more miserable, they have been doing. They've been limited because they've only had control of county level things at this point. Education quality has gone down, taxes has gone up, construction of roads are just completely horrendous. They constantly fix roads that don't need fixing, and they don't do construction on it. Like they just make horrible decision after horrible decision across the board. Healthcare quality has gone way down here. The middle class has been evaporating for quite some time. There are hardly any jobs for entry level people or people who don't. There's a huge jump. There's hourly jobs out the wazoo, but and then there's like jobs that require 10 years of specialized experience and thousands of dollars worth of certifications. And all these jobs that need prior experience just doing that. Well, how do you get into that job if every job that does that, you need experience doing that specific thing? And then so all these jobs get unfulfilled because they can't find candidates because they won't stoop down to train people. But again, we're getting off topic once again. The crutch is that this state has been going downhill for quite some time, and this is the latest cement in that downfall. Virginia is going to go the way of California, New York, Maryland, etc., where the Democrats control every single aspect of politics, and then they run that state into the ground. Black Pigeon Speaks did a great video on California, I'll link that, where California used to be the most powerful state in the entire country. It used to produce the most jobs, the highest paying jobs, the biggest economy, the biggest businesses, just the greatest tourist attractions, the best land to buy things, the cheapest land, the great place to start a family, to build a career. Like it was the state. Hollywood was there. All the big oil companies were there. Everything was there. If you wanted to make it big, you go to California, and now look at it. It's a freaking dumpster fire. It's a freaking embarrassment because Democrats have been controlling every aspect of it. I think since the 90s was the last time a Republican won governor. I think Reagan was the last governor before he was president or something like that. I forget off the top of my head, but it's been quite some time. And what a coincidence that right when the Democrats take control of something, it goes downhill. Point to one Democratic city or state that's doing really, really good right now. Some of the northeastern ones are, like New Hampshire and Connecticut. I'll give you that. That's because demographics. We'll get into that subject for another time. You can't get distracted here. I keep on getting distracted. The problem is that the governor of this state has been Democrat for quite some time. He can't pass his batshit crazy policies. Why? Because the Republican legislature blocks all of his retarded ideas. I did a video several months ago that I'll link also that Northam tried to enact radical gun control here earlier this year, I believe, like in January, February, I forget off the top of my head. Crazy, batshit crazy, extreme gun control measures, such as banning all AR-15s, banning all high-capacity magazines, which is whatever he determines. 10 or more. I think 10 or more, I think, is what he determined. So like most pistol magazines would be illegal. Red flag laws. You can't buy more than one handgun per month. Like all of these draconian laws that wouldn't have any effect on crime or gun murders at all, for that matter. He proposed I think it was like 8 proposals. And the Republican legislature shut all of them down, thank God. That would have been horrible for this state. Well, now guess what? The one thing that was stopping Northam from enacting all of his fascist gun control policies is now gone, now that the Democrats have full control of the legislature. In fact, Virginians said that gun rights or gun control was the #1 issue in this election. It wasn't healthcare. I think healthcare was like 2 or 3 or 4. It was in the top 4. Immigration was not #1. Roads, taxes, business, all of those things were trumped by gun control. Why? I don't know. Gun violence is absurdly low here. I think like 5 or like the murder rate in this county is like in the single digits, like 5 or 9. I forget off the top of my head again. I need to look all these stats up. I'll put it up. So you can't call me out for being wrong. I'm doing all this. I'm doing this video without access to the internet. I'm sorry. You know, if I can't remember if it's 5 or 9, or maybe it's 14. I don't know. It's absurdly low for the entire county. A county with hundreds of thousands of people to have a murder rate that low. In fact, the vast majority of murders in this state are in Northern Virginia or in Norfolk, down in Virginia Beach. I wonder why. Why is that the case? Could it be that a certain demographic that commits a disproportionately high amount of violence happens to live in those 2 areas? So I'm sure that's just a huge coincidence, and I am just a bigoted racist for even bringing that stat up. But regardless, Northam's not going to go after the people who commit all the gun crime. He appears so concerned with gun violence. He constantly whines about it like a little faggot on TV all the time. But he never wants to go after the gang members who commit the vast majority of violence. He doesn't want to go after MS-13. In fact, he wants to have sanctuary cities in Virginia. In fact, Lee Carter, who is the representative of my district, who sadly beats Ian Lovejoy, which was actually a pretty decent candidate, Lee Carter is actually a self-proclaimed democratic socialist. He actually... That's not a label that his opponents are trying to smear him with. He proudly calls himself a democratic socialist and proudly aligns with AOC's platform of the Green New Deal and gun control and bigoted towards white Americans, which is ironic because he is a white American. So in his utopia, he would be the first to get a bullet in the back of the head. But that's beside the point. He wants to make Manassas a sanctuary city. He gladly wants to bring over illegal immigrants without checking them at all. Well, how do we know they're not MS-13 members? I don't know. We can't check them because in Sanctuary City, that's racist to ask for identification. So these politicians proclaim to not want gun violence, yet they are doing policies that objectively increase gun violence. Lax on criminals. We have so many criminals here that are 2- and 3-time offenders. They like violently beat someone and they get like a 15-year sentence. Oh, but the judge feels sorry for them after 6 or 7. So they're out in the street in 6 and 7 years and they do it again. And then the same thing happens. They're out again in a couple of years and they do it again. They keep on doing it. We have criminals with sheets like a mile long of like violent burglary, violent assault, carjacking, rape, murder. And then they're like, why the fuck are you still on the street? Why? Because Democratic politicians. That's their idea of trying to lessen the crime stats for minorities so then we seem less racist, because apparently we have a racist police system and a white supremacist capitalist patriarchy because more minorities commit crimes than whites. It couldn't be that they just commit more fucking crime. No, it's that the police are just racist. So we need to let these people out of jail so then we don't get all these mean stats saying that we have all these black and Hispanics in jail. So that's why it's bad for this state that Democrats now have complete control, because now they can ram all this fascist big government legislature and there is no opposition because they control everything. The Republicans can't block it because they don't have enough numbers anywhere to block them. We'll attack the freedom of speech because hate speech is violence, and hate speech is anything they don't like, anything that disagrees with their narrative, anything that they don't like is hate speech. Hate speech has no legal definition. It's whatever you feel like calling it. And you can say, well, what I said wasn't hateful. I was just pointing out something. No, but hateful is subjective. So I can make it, as a Democratic legislature, I can make it whatever I want. So we're going to shut down all opposition speech. That's what they do online all the time. That's what AOC loves to do. And Lee Carter is in bed with her, which is disgusting. Why would you sleep with a horse face? But that's beside the point. So they're going to attack the First Amendment. They're going to attack the Second Amendment. That's the day of the election, the night of the election. Once Ralph Northam, his wet dream came true, and now he can be fascist leader of the state. He said, we're going to push for gun control. When the new legislature comes in January, that is number one on his priority list. We have politicians that openly say we're going to take away your rights and just gloat over it. We have people on Facebook who are lemmings, who are zombies to the Democratic cause, who gloat and are gleeful that they are making their fellow Virginians' lives miserable. I'll put up a screenshot of some dialogue I had with some Democrats, and I pointed out how horrible Democrats are going to make the state, and they're just like, oh, I'm so happy you're miserable, you're salty, I'm so glad this is retribution. And I'm like, what kind of person are you that you are like gloating and like celebrating that you're making my life miserable? And not just my life, but like millions of other Virginians. Why are you so god fucking awful? Why are you in such an insufferable cunt? And they just like laugh, reacting like, hey. As long as they feel good, they don't give a damn about your life, about your rights, about your quality of life, about anything. They just want power. They just want you to suffer because you're not on their team. That's what fascism is. That's what garbage human beings, that's what insufferable cunts are people like that. And there are millions of them in Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia is the DC swamp of big government, big spending, anti-liberty, insufferable human beings who are just god-awful to interact with. I should know. I have to interact with them every single goddamn day. They are so awful. When I go down to Texas to visit family or something and I get that good Southern hospitality, people are actually decent. They don't just cut you off in the shopping mall. They don't just flip you off for no fucking reason. They don't just cut you off when you're driving for no fucking reason. Again, every once in a while they do. Let me make a side note. It's not like every single person in Texas is just a complete angel. But compared to Virginia, oh yeah, they are. Let's get back to how Democrats are going to fuck up the state. So they're going to attack your freedom of speech. They're going to attack your religion because Christians are bad, especially white Christians. Hispanic Christians, Hispanic Catholics are perfectly fine because they're not racist, so we can't hate them for anything. In fact, we're going to let them do whatever they want and give them sanctuary cities and let MS-13 just come in and do whatever they want. But if you're a white Christian, nope, that just means you're a bigoted, backwards son of a bitch. So we're going to attack your freedom of religion. We're going to attack your Second Amendment rights. We're going to increase your taxes already more than they already are. I already pay 25% of my entire income in various level of taxes, but that's not enough to fund the Democrats' wet dream of just giving money for votes. They want to tax us more. They want to clog up the roads even more. They want to clog up the area even more. Just cut down all trees and just put businesses and apartments that no one can afford, and just put them everywhere. Just traffic everywhere. Fix traffic? No, let's just make it worse. They're going to rack up the debt like a motherfucker. The Virginia state debt is already astronomical because of all the social programs we have. We just bleed hard-working Americans out the wazoo and just give it to lazy people. Well, they want even more debt, more social programs, more spending. Debt, who cares about debt? We'll just put it on the tab and we'll just tax people who work more. Virginia is going to end up like California and New York with astronomical standards of living, low wages, housing is unaffordable for a whole generation, so they rent's going to be out the wazoo. You're going to have crime, you're going to have sanctuary cities, you're going to have MS-13, you're going to have people shitting in the streets because we're bringing over people who have the IQ of room temperature, don't know how to use a fucking toilet. The homeless population has surged in Northern Virginia in recent years. I'll put those stats up. Even more homeless people because we're bringing in people who don't know how to use the bathroom, and we're bringing all these people, and there are no jobs for these people, so they just suck up welfare. What if you can't even get on welfare? There's lots of homeless people on welfare, and they're still homeless because they can't afford shit. What San Francisco and LA and Baltimore look like, just rat-infested shitholes, that is what Virginia is going to look like, thanks to Democratic takeover of this state. and I cannot wait to leave this state. It's going to take me quite some time, because everything is so fucking expensive here. It takes forever to save up money, even as frugal as I am. But no, Virginia has been my home for a long time, but it is not sustainable. It has gotten worse. It's gone from a place that I love to a place that I cannot stand living in. And this is just the final nail in the coffin. I was already planning to leave this state before this, but this was just one more peg in the coffin. It's just like, you know what? This is absolutely not long-term for me. I cannot live here any longer. And it's just going to get worse. So I'm going to go somewhere else.